Here we are on beautiful Jones Street.
You saw Ted Jones.
Feeling as good as you look, bro. Chris Brown, he just looks like this. You're a handsome ass man, dude. What's up, dude?
What's going on, man?
Welcome back to Ted Jones World. How you doing, man? Good to see you, bro.
Hey, I'm good to see you too, bro. I like the new location change, man.
Yeah, man, dude. To be honest, the other night when we did in here, it was a lot cleaner. And then I think Ed moved some stuff around. He's getting ready for an inspection, so hopefully, this room will be ready to go soon. But you did a lot of spots down here in the past. When was the last time you did a show down here?
Yeah, man, maybe like 2016, man.
Oh, really?
Me and my buddy, man, we used to have a show that we used to run. The stage was actually back here on this wall. Yeah, man, we had a lot of great nights, man. We
Bring back some memories.
Yeah. One night, man, Roy Wood came through and did maybe 45 minutes the Tuesday before the Thursday that he did his first special for Comedy Central. And he always, because we packed it out, man. Like, this room was magical, bro. I mean, 50, 60, it was dark. I mean, the laughs, man. You know, it's something about New York comedy when you go downstairs.
Yeah,
you know, comedians love down. You know what I mean? Like, something about that downstairs. So,
because we did it the other night over here on this stage. Yeah, let me just check. Let me just double check.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good. We're live. We did it the other night over here, and dude, even still, 70% of the way there, audio wasn't all the way there. I guess he rented the chairs and tables for the night, but it was dope, man.
Back in the day, I mean, Louis C.K., like back in the day, the Lantern, this room, man. Like, I'm gonna tell you, back in the day, bro, Jeff Lawrence, Laughing Buddha, right? He probably never admit this, but he used to run a bringer show down here on Saturday nights. And
That's what I heard.
And if you brought two people,
dude, I have so many stories just from Eddie. Go ahead. What are you saying?
If you brought two people, you could get 5 minutes of stage time. So me and my buddies would come down. We would holler at two random women, whatever. Sometimes you got to go down to 5, 6s just to get them in. You know what I mean? And you would get 5 minutes of stage time, man.
Eddie was telling me the other day when Louis was doing his show on FX that they were reaching out to Eddie and the people who own the place with Eddie and trying to negotiate a price to film here. Because they would film here and then they'd be here for a ton of hours, way past that they said they were going to come. And they were trying to tell Eddie, they were like, look, this place it's going to get so much business. Like, why are you haggling over this price, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then in the actual shot on Louis, they didn't end up showing the logo. And Louis walks in during the episode and he goes, oh, I hate this place. And then Eddie tried to he saw Louis on the street and he was like, yo, Louis. And Louis kind of bolted the other way because he thought he was going to get pissed, but Eddie thought it was funny.
Okay, yeah, I do
keep that in. I think I keep that in.
No, for sure. I mean, I remember that scene because it was when he linked up with his old comedian buddy.
Tom Berry, apparently. And he was trying to get to do, he was trying to convince him to do open mics. He was like, I'm not doing open mics.
And then he met this crazy dude that he used to do open mics with back in the day.
See it. I gotta watch that.
Man. That's a really, really good show, man, Louis show. But man, this place, man, has a lot of people used to come through here, man. It was a great room. We used to do mics down here, though. And then they opened up the upstairs. So the fact that he can get this back running, if he can bring, it's gonna be nostalgic. People gonna come down here, and then another thing too. Back then, comedy seller didn't like for comedians to work on this block. Sometimes I would be doing shows with comedians and I was always respectful of comedians and their wishes. And then on top of that, I had this big thing, if I would run a show, I wouldn't want to post a photo of the comedian that showed up, somebody that was big. I would just want it to be a word of mouth, though. And then sometimes people would just be so quick to clout chase. I'm like, yo, look who stopped in. And then now you got these guys. It's like, I already told you I can't. He told you he doesn't want nobody to know that he was down here. Now he can't come back because you didn't respect his wishes. Yeah. So but that was the thing, man. People used to come down here, man. Yeah, I've bombed really, really bad in this room.
And you know what?
I remember a specific bomb.
But yeah.
Go ahead, but you could tell.
I was gonna say this. The thing about this room is I feel like a bomb in this room. You can really feel it because you can feel one laugh, it'll bounce off the ceiling, and then it'll hit another person. Yeah. So I can imagine that a bomb in this room would be tough.
I remember a specific bomb, man. I was hosting the show, and I was bombing bad, bro, and. you know me, I'm not the type of comedian when I'm bombing. I'm not trying to win them back. If y'all don't like me, I'm just gonna accept that, and and I was hosting a show. It was somebody else's show, and he kind of wanted me to like, yo, man, do something. I'm like, yo, they don't like me. It's just like, like you being on a date with a girl, you realize like this is the last time. It's like, I'm just like, all right, it is what it is. And I remember somebody tried to give me some advice outside, and I didn't want to hear no advice. I kind of like snapped, and I remember it specifically, but I was bombing. And I say another thing, the first comedian went up, and he did really well. He did some crowd work. And then I remember going up in between him, and I was just like, you ever had somebody take your job while you doing it? Because he basically was hosting the show. He basically started the show. He was a host in the show. Yeah. And I just remember how good he did. And I addressed it, but like, I remember that specific bomb.
Damn it. Well, I mean, you need a lot of bombs and a lot of successes before you put out a special, man, on Amazon. So I watch it, 30 minutes. Yeah,
man,
of course,
I appreciate that, man.
You saw me, I rented it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, dude, it was great, bro. And
thanks, I appreciate it.
Dude, I love watching you work.
Man, likewise.
And the amount of punchlines you have per joke, it's great, dude. So I want to talk about putting that together. I know that you have had specials before, but this is the first special that went as well as, compared to other specials where you were able to sell it to a big network.
Oh, okay. Well, now this was my first special though.
Well, but didn't you have other specials or other jokes or like 30 minutes that you put onto Sirius, or is that different?
Oh, well, okay. So basically, I had an album. I had a comedy album.
Okay. So you wouldn't consider that a special?
Well, yeah, it was a special, but I guess it was just audio though, so it wasn't video.
Okay.
So I did have an album that I released, and I got it on Sirius XM. And that was probably one of the highlights of I almost cried, man, when I found out they were playing it, bro. Like, me and my lady, man, that was like I think Sirius XM for a lot of comedians is one of the first solid like credits based off me. I mean, Sirius XM, they let a lot of bullshit on, no disrespect to anybody, but like for somebody to actually like be like, yeah, so like this is what we going with. And to get paid, and to get compensation. I'm still getting compensated, to this day. But so I released the album. That was my main goal with I just wanted to release an album. I wanted to get on Sirius XM. I wanted the Sirius XM credit, and I wanted the residuals that come along with it. So that was my main goal. And once I got that, I mean, I was just, that was big for me though. Like to have an album. I mean, anybody can put an album out though. Like you can put an album out right now with your phone. I know comedians that have done that, and it's on iTunes. They don't give a damn. But Sirius XM is that, it has to be good material. It has to sound good. And, they have to accept it. So that was like a big thing for me though. And after that, I decided to put out the visual, like like how rappers, they put out an album, like now it's time to do the music video.
Yeah.
So that took a long process because I had to really size down the jokes, because my album is probably about 37 minutes long, and audio was a little bit different than video, because audio, like most of the time you listen to an album, you clean it up, so like it all needs to be good, but it's harder to watch okay comedy than it is to listen to okay comedy though. You know what I mean? So there were certain jokes that I cut out for the video. So I wanted to cut it down to a half hour. Everybody's putting hour specials out. I'm kind of like old school in my approach, and I always envied those HBO comedy one night stands. Dave Chappelle, his first special was a half hour. Patrice O'Neal, he put out a half hour. Bill Burr. So like, I wanted to take baby steps. I didn't want, everybody wants to do 45-minute hour specials. I wanted to put out a half hour because I felt like I could put together a pretty decent, tight half hour. So that was my goal. I was, trying to put out a half hour. So I had to really trim down the jokes, kind of trying to find like a streamline. And, luckily I was working with a guy named Asad Bokhari. He was the one that shot it and he directed it. As a matter of fact, I just set up my IMDb page for it too though. So now it's on IMDb, giving everybody the credits. And we cut it down, we edited it. I wanted it to be simple. And that took a long time because, you know, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Go. Did you shoot, did you do 2 shows that night?
I did 2 shows.
Okay.
So I did 2 shows, 7 and 9 p.m. I would recommend always doing 2 shows for a recording because, you know, for one, like if in New York, like for me, you know, being like at the level I am, like kind of like I consider myself like semi-pro. For me to be able to do almost like 2 hours worth of comedy in New York City, you know, it's not gonna happen unless I'm doing something like that, you know. So you want to take advantage of a big moment because you'll get people out for an album tape and people will show up, your family and friends, you know what I mean? People will just show up. It's a big thing. So you really want to do 2 shows because they're gonna be jokes that's gonna hit on the first show, they're not gonna hit on the second show. And then for that second show, you just really gonna be in your bag because you just did an hour's worth of comedy. So just imagine like being in the city, you don't did like 4, 5 spots. That last spot, you can just really, really wing it. And to be totally honest with you, my second show really didn't have as many people as the first show, but I actually got more audio and more clips from the second show. It sounded better, you know, and it was less people though. And I just think it had a lot to do with my energy because I just ran like for my first show I did maybe like 40 because I was trying to keep it tight because you really just want to make everything sound as good as possible. Once I knew what I had, the second show I did like 55 minutes and I just was throwing stuff against the wall, you know.
Did you use any of that stuff that you threw against the wall in the second show in the special? Did it make the final cut?
And yo, I'd say probably about 30% of the jokes that I hadn't even planned on throwing.
Wow.
But they were jokes that just came to me, jokes that I forgot about, that I just was feeling
in the moment.
Dope. They ended up hitting. So like I always would recommend at least doing 2 shows, you know, like 7 and 9. And I mean, it doesn't matter when you're doing, but that's when I did it, 7 and 9.
I'm sure we probably talked about this on the first episode we did a while ago, but when did you move to New York?
I moved to New York in 2012.
Okay. And what do you remember like the first clubs that you were doing initially in 2012?
The first open mic I did was at the Pit. People's Improv.
Yeah, I did. We did a Ted Jones comedy show at the old one, and then at the one that's now on like 29th Street.
Yeah, that was my first open mic, and so basically, I met comedy was like the last thing like I ever thought about doing. I actually moved up here for acting. I actually started off taking acting classes and. Comedy, I always consider myself like a funny person, but just like trying to make people laugh on purpose to me just seemed like unnatural. So like me and my guys growing up, we used to make fun of people that were trying to be funny in school. Like, oh, this stand-up comedian coming to the stage ass, you know. Yeah. But I met a comedian and, you know, he kind of inspired me. He was just like, oh, you think you funny? You know, like I was making him laugh. He was just like, yo, you know, you should try it. And I did that mic and I was terrible, bro. Like I'm so glad that back then in 2012, 2013, even though Facebook was a thing, we didn't have like this clip culture.
Sure.
Because a lot of like, because I feel like I see a lot of comedians put out the first stuff, you know, but it's just like, I'm so glad that I didn't put that out because the comedians that are putting out clips now, like 5 years from now, you're gonna be like, you're gonna hate yourself when you see it. Like I hate myself sometimes just looking at my special. You know what I mean?
It's funny you mentioned that because I have from one of those Broadway Comedy Club bringer shows from like 4 years ago when I did the taping. And at the time, I was like, yo, I'm going to put this on YouTube. I kept it as a draft. And like for a few months, I was like, all right, I'll put it out, whatever. I just watched it the other day. I was like, yo, you were so tight up there, dude.
Exactly.
And I mean, it's the culture today. I've talked about this on many podcasts before that you got to be which you know, you got to be growing your social. You got to be working on stage. So you feel pressure on both ends.
Yeah,
you know what
definitely,
I mean?
definitely.
So even if something's like, you know, 80% of the way there, you're like, all right, whatever, I'll post it. Maybe it'll go viral and then I'll sell out the next show.
Yeah.
Like that.
But to your credit, if you're doing a Broadway bringer, you probably are trying, you know, material though. I mean, I see comedians like posting clips and like me, I was like, you know, this would have been like an open mic, you know what I mean? Where like I see clips sometimes of comedians where they just not saying nothing. It's one thing to see you trying, you know, and that's just like sometimes people like going back to see like, dang, like looking at Kendrick Lamar and his first rapper, looking at, you know, so like that's cool, but it's just the idea when you see comedians where they really ain't got nothing to say and they just feel like I got to put something out. I just got to be visible. Right. That's really where I feel like, that's when you're going to look at yourself.
Well, I think also because of the recent climate of stand-up comedy is like you see all your favorite headliners putting up clips and they're doing these shows and they're dedicating 20 minutes of show time and stage time at the shows that they're selling out to crowd work. That clips, like, oh well, I could do crowd work. It's not that hard to do crowd work or stuff like that. So it's definitely, I mean, it's an interesting time, I feel like, and I see that on your page, Chris Brown Comedy, you gotta check him out. He'll shout it out at the end of the episode for sure.
Yeah.
But you've taken all the jokes that you have from your special, and have you put all of them now on social media, or how are you working and doing that?
I still have quite a few. Like I was one of those guys that was really like rallying against social media for the longest. I was like against social media. Like I was one of those, I didn't like any, I really never was into social media. And to be totally honest with you, it probably halted my growth in social, in stand-up comedy, because,
In what years do you feel like that?
I say probably within the last like 5 or 6 years, I probably would have moved up a little bit more if I would have done more social media. I'm just a private person, but like the people that put themselves out there, you get so much in this culture right now. It's not necessarily about being funny. It's just people need to know. You got to get people to know who you are. And I was just like, I don't want people that I don't know to know who I am. Like I always felt like if you haven't had the pleasure of meeting me in person, then you don't get to know anything about me though. And I'm still feel like that now, but I'm just more so I'm clipping up everything because I'm realizing that that's what I got to do, So like now I just realize that's the culture we in. That's what you either get down, or just complain. So like, yeah. But for the longest, I didn't put anything on social media. I purposefully didn't post stuff on social media. Like I remember I opened up for Roy Wood Jr. at JFL Toronto, in this theater. It's like 1,200 people. I wasn't even thinking about taking photos. Roy actually took a photo of me. He's like, I got this photo for you. And I was sending it to my friends like, yo, look at this. And everybody was just like, yo, why don't you post this? And I just didn't want to post it. I felt like it was for me, but I don't know what I was on. I was just a private type person.
Well, but also I feel like back, what year was that? 2018?
This was when I opened up for Roy at JFL Toronto. That was like 2018.
That was more of the culture back then, though. People weren't really thinking about putting everything forward, I feel like.
You had people that were like, even to this day, you see people that like, anything you get, you got to tell people, you got to show, you got to let people know what you got going on. And I just was just like the type of person, I just wanted to do it. Like, I didn't want to like have to tell people about it. If you knew about it, you knew about it. Like, I just have a hard time like self-promoting. I think I'm just like maybe a little bit more humble. Who knows? I might have imposter syndrome, but I just didn't feel comfortable being like, yo, look at me. Look at what I got going on, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's just not natural for me. There are some people that's just natural. Like even before stand-up comedy, there were people that would post, I just graduated. I just did this. I just did this. Yeah. I just got a new car. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right. But for me, it was just a little unnatural for me.
I think that's also happening now with the culture that kids are growing up in now today. It's like everybody's looking at, that Instagram post and how many of their friends are watching it.
Yeah.
How many people are sharing it.
Yeah.
Like I've said many times before on the pod, like we're just learning about the clip culture. Like it's really only started to become big ever since we were stuck at home during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Watching videos on TikTok, and then like I didn't make a TikTok till probably 2021, and I was like, all right, I guess I got to do this. Even though I saw everybody dancing on TikTok, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that.
You're really good with your TikTok. I be checking yours out.
I'm trying. I just try and like you said, throw things against the wall, see what works.
Hey man, you got to do it. And at the end of the day, like you get people that start to like you. You get people that start to follow you, and people want somebody to follow. Like people want somebody to support. So. I'm starting to realize that you definitely got to do it, and I'm cool with it though. I'm just picking and choosing what I put out there though. But
when did you shoot the Amazon special? Was that during the summer?
Man, I shot that in 2023.
Okay, so
I shot it in July 2023.
What was the process leading up to that, and then also going with Amazon? Okay. And did you have other offers? Were you thinking about potentially putting it on YouTube? How did that look?
Okay, so the first thing I needed to do, it's funny too, because shout out to my lady, man. Like, cause you got a good woman in your life, she'll really like put pressure on you. So I kept saying I wanted to record an album and I wanted to put something out. And she was just like, what are you waiting on? And I was like, oh, well, I got to get a date. And she just was like, well, set a date, and she kept staying on me. And I got a lot of respect for my lady. So first thing I will say, I think a lot of comedians procrastinate. I think a lot of comedians feel like they're not ready. And I feel like a lot of comedians just keep putting stuff off. I heard this a while back. They was just like, don't get ready for the job get the job and you'll get ready for it, you know. So that was the first thing I did. I set a date. You know, I set a date for when I'm about to, like, you know, this is the day.
What's up, Luca Farrow, previous guest? We have a show?
Yeah.
Can you put me slightly later?
Yeah.
I'll go like third. Is he going on stage right now?
No. They just sat. So
how many do you have?
Right now it's like 7. 8.
Okay, nice, great. Thank you, buddy.
Yeah. So, so first I set a date, and then I set up some road dates. Because I think for me, in order for me to really like kind of like feel like I could put out or like have a solid album taping, I wanted to get like my pacing and get used to like doing like longer sets. And I had headlined and, you know, my own little shows. So I set up a bunch of like headlining dates in breweries, just wherever I could get it. I was just trying to get long sets, whatever I could, not so much focused on selling tickets, but just to get an audience so I could run and start to structure the set. And recorded the special. And you know, for me, I'm like an outline guy. I like to kind of have like an organization. I like to have like a storyline of where I'm going. Got that. And then as far as the other question was, how did I decide to go on Amazon?
Yeah.
So me, I'm always been like an independent type, you know, like Nipsey Hussle is like somebody that I really, really look up to. So like I've always been self-employed. So I knew from the gate that I wanted to try to do everything on my own, even for my album. Like, you know, I self-produced my album and I had to sign with a label in order to get it on Sirius XM. But the deal I worked out was I'm basically giving chump change. I just signed a licensing agreement. You know, I got a really, really good percentage. So like I'm keeping most of mine. So I always knew that I wanted to do something on my own. So you got a couple options. You can go through Comedy Dynamics. You know, Comedy Dynamics is like the main production company that will guarantee to get you. They won't guarantee, but they can shop your special out. And they can get it on, and they'll even buy it from you, you know. But I think they own the rights, so I don't think you own it, you know. But like, I know people that are getting lump sums of money for their comedy specials. I didn't want to go that route, so I knew that I wanted to try to go straight to Amazon Prime on my own. It took some time. It was a little tedious, and it cost a little bit of money. And I just put it out myself, self-produced, you know, through my little LLC production company and whatnot. And now I just own everything though. So like everything is mine, you know. So like I do have a licensing agreement through the label, but that's just a 10-year, you know. And I think I have a license. I don't know what the licensing agreement is with Amazon, but yeah, man, like I don't think a lot of people know. I'm probably gonna be spilling the beans, but Amazon Prime, I don't mind sharing information. You can submit straight through Amazon Prime, straight to Amazon Prime. A lot of people think you got to get a deal. Like you guys, like, how'd you go through? You can go through what they call Amazon Prime Direct, and it's just like any other streaming network, whatnot. And it's just like YouTube or whatnot. They do have to accept it. That does have to be shot certain frames, and it has to be captioned, and you know your cover art has to be. And you know, I mean, I don't think they care about the content, and it does take some time. It takes maybe like some months. So it's easier just to go through YouTube, and you probably make more money. But I like the idea of having an Amazon Prime special. I just felt like it differentiates you from like just the regular YouTube, you know. And I'm definitely not making as much money. And I think the next special I probably do put out, I'm thinking about, I'm probably gonna do like a compilation special, you know. And I'm thinking about either doing that through YouTube, because I think you can.
What do you mean compilation? I know like mix things together, but how do you mean?
Well, no, like so basically, like instead of like just doing like, since I just already did like my own half-hour special, I'm thinking about just doing maybe like Chris Brown and Friends, and it'll be like me and like 2 or 3 comedians. We all do like 10, 15 minutes. Maybe I host. Since I have some experience in putting stuff out, I might go to Amazon, but I might go to YouTube, and I'll probably get the same. Now I have a venue that I do comedy shows on a Monday and a Saturday. So like now I have a space that I can do everything that I just basically did at Westside Comedy Club. And it, you know, I can set it up like I know. And now I have the experience. So I'll probably do something like that. I'll probably go through YouTube. But I'm just big on like, you know, self-producing, man. Try to do as much on your own. But yeah, you can go through Amazon Prime Direct. Like, you know, a lot of people don't know about it. You know, how a lot of comedians, they like to keep stuff to themselves. Like they don't really like to, because they feel like it's more competition. But I'll put it out there. Everybody knows about it. It's Amazon Prime Direct. You submit to them. They keep a percentage or whatever. You can sell it, and yeah, I mean, it's a lot of people on Amazon Prime. It's a lot of comedy on Amazon Prime. A lot of people some people going through Comedy Dynamics, or some people just submitting.
How much do you feel like you need to change your material now that you have 30 plus minutes online? Do you ever feel pressure to do that?
I do feel a little pressure not to do a lot of that material though, and I do feel pressure to write more material. And I actually like the idea that I did put it out, because I feel like comedians will sit on material for years, and I think it's important to start putting stuff out because you grow. Like, like I used to talk about like never getting a woman pregnant, and then now I got a kid on the way. So now it's just like that, I'm glad I put that out because that was a good joke, and now it's out, and I'm glad I didn't put it out, because if I would have put it out now, it's like, what you talking about? You never got a woman pregnant, you got a kid, so like, you grow out of certain material. Like I'm like, I was divorced, so I used to have material about being like, in a relationship, and so like, yeah, man, I think it's important for me to move on, and then as you get better too, though, you start to write better material though. So I think it's also good to just move on, man, and try to do new stuff, man. But I'm glad I burned through a lot of the material, because some of that stuff I don't really like.
What do you think the most important part of your career has led you to this point? Was it the writing, getting on stage, doing these road gigs, meeting certain people?
I think I'm gonna tell you one of the most what sparked me to do all of this, and probably one of the best things that ever happened to me, is not getting booked, like not having spots. I went through a period where I was getting a lot of spots, and I was starting to get comfortable. I had a good relationship with a few clubs, and then those relationships just changed, and I ain't have nothing, like I was going like a week without like getting up, and the feeling of that feeling, and I think a lot of comedians go through that, and how they handle it is how they handle it. But that was what sparked me to do something like that. Cause then in my mind I was like, oh, okay, like I just can't be sitting here waiting on people to book me. So basically, if nobody is giving me stage time, or if nobody is giving me an opportunity, I'm not a comedian. So that triggered me to be like, yo, listen, I need to do something. I need to start getting in the mindset where I create my own work, where I create my own projects. So I think that was the most triggering thing for me, is just going through a period where I was having a lot of spots, and I was getting booked in a specific club or clubs, and then I just went through a period where and that happens with a lot of comedians, and it's just like some comedians get bitter, they complain, some quit, but I was just like, all right, cool, what can I do? Like I try to be like a solution-based type person where I'm like, all right, cool, like forget complaining, forget about what's happening, like what's the next step? So for me, that was probably the best thing that could have happened to me, is to go through a period where I wasn't getting no stage time, and I was like, let me get on the road, let me create, let me get into a situation where I have something behind my name where that shouldn't happen again, because I didn't have no credits. So I was like, I need a credit so I can have some bargaining power. So now, like, if I go to a club, it's like, oh, they'll want to, but you know what I mean? Not only are you funny, but like you bringing something to the club. And I think that's important too. You got to build your resume, because these clubs are just like anybody else. It's like, all right, we got to sell you to our audience. Like, so we got to, why are you somebody that we need to book? You see some comedians that you might not even find that funny, but they got credits behind their name. So like, that was the motivation. Like, all right, let me do something so that I won't be in a situation where I feel like, clubs are just, all right, cool. Why would we book this guy? He's not bringing nothing to the table. So that was what sparked it, to be totally honest with you, though. Yeah. And
then doing all the spots in the city, was this, you think that your career is based on you moving to New York City, and like you couldn't have done what you've done if you were in Atlanta still?
Atlanta, I will say this though, like I actually started comedy in New York. I didn't start in Atlanta though. I'll be honest with you, man, it's a lot of killers, man. Like if anything, it might be, I mean, it's everybody's funny. People are funny everywhere though. I just know that in New York City, you have so many more opportunities to get on stage. You got a lot more clubs. It's a lot more competition, because the best all over the country, they come in here though. So you constantly getting humbled. You constantly around like really, really funny people. And you got the industry here though. So you do you do have like, you know, you got these opportunities that you can always get ready for though. And then you around some of the best comedians. I mean, the best comedians are not, they either in LA or New York, like when it comes to the masses. So like you get to be around these guys, somebody can bring you on the road, you can open for them. If you got a bar show, they can come do your show. You can develop relationships. They can tell you about like the game. So like, I think New York, to me, New York is where you need to be at for stand up. LA, I think, is more so for like acting and film. And, you know, LA, they do have some strong comedians, but, you know, and then on top of that, it's hard to really navigate this city, you know, even if you're not doing nothing creative. So like, even like, just imagine like trying to like be a comedian, trying to hold that, pay high rent, you know, everything else. So like the people that make it here, you know what we had to go through, you know, like we got to go, I mean, we got to survive, we got to eat, and then you're trying to do something creative and you got to get on stage at night and you got, you know, so like, I just think it just brings out the best because this city is just so much harder to navigate whether you're doing anything, you know. So like, that's why it's a lot of comedians that refuse. I never move to New York. They'll go to LA where it's a little bit easier. It's cold, it's expensive, it's, you know, you got to ride trains and it's like, you know, so. But yeah, though, I think I don't think I would be able to, you know, do what I'm doing if I wasn't in New York City though. You know, like this way it's at. You know, in my opinion.
How long has your special been on Amazon?
It's been on Amazon since June of 2024.
So
yeah, man, and I've been getting some decent ratings, and yeah, man, I'm getting some decent 4 or 5 star ratings, and it's just nice to be able to like have something to tell people to check out though after a show, like, you know.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
it's funny for real. It is funny. You have me laughing. You have me laughing on the couch by myself.
Man, I appreciate that,
eating
man.
some hummus, bro. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, man. But you're a funny dude too, though, man. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. Like, I always liked you, bro, on stage too. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, man. But nah, man, it's a blessing, man. And I recommend putting something out, bro. You know, do as much as you can on your own, man. You got to find your own work, man. You got to create your own. You know, if you waiting for somebody to do something for you, man, you know, I mean, you just might be waiting. Who knows? You might get something, but like, I think people like to help people that are helping themselves, though. You know,
for sure.
So like, you know, when people see that you already got shit going on.
I feel like people like to help people who are working hard. They see that like you're trying, so all right, move you a little bit longer.
Exactly.
Along the trail, you know.
And then they feel more comfortable investing in you because it's like if you'll invest in yourself, then it's easy for people to invest in you, though. Definitely. I've gotten a lot of opportunities from this Amazon Prime special, man, the album. So I'm super grateful, man. You know what I mean?
Love it, bro. Well, we got a show upstairs in a little bit, bro. Chris, I appreciate you coming on, man. I appreciate
you. My bad for running late, man.
It's all good, bro. You're running from a spot. Running from a spot, so it's all good. Before we get out of here, though, shout out your Instagram, where we
Chris Brown Comedy,
and where we can find Amazon too.
And you can find the Amazon Prime comedy special on Amazon Prime. It's called I Just Look Like This. You just put in Chris Brown, you search for it, and I got an album on iTunes. I think it's on Spotify too. It's called I Just Look Like This, and I run a show on Mondays and Saturdays too. Alki Comedy at Alki, 111th Ave and 7th Ave. Free show on Mondays, ticketed show on Saturdays, and you know. Yeah, that's it, man. You know, appreciate
Keep up the grind, bro.
Hey, appreciate you, bro.
I love this guy.
Yeah, love
you guys
you too, man.
check him out. I'll see you guys soon.
For sure. Bet, man.